Welcome back. You know, I was recently invited to go to the Mattatuck Museum in Waterbury. Now, I got to be honest with you. I haven't been there since I was doing Every Town Has a Story, and that's got to be at least 20 years ago.
Yeah, they've done so much work.
Oh,
it's
my
beautiful.
gosh, it's gorgeous.
It's a really exciting place. So what'd you see?
All right, well, I thought it was all about buttons and rubber. It's not.
No.
They have 79,000 square feet of exhibits, some of the best artwork in the world on display.
Yeah, and in fact, you told me that you saw Georgia O'Keeffe's work.
Unbelievable, yes, along with countless others. Take a look.
Welcome to the Mattatuck Museum in Waterbury. Before we get to the wonderful artwork that's on exhibit here, I wanted to know a little bit about the museum itself, and Bob Burns, the executive director, was kind enough to tell me all about it.
Bob, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, Scott? It's great to have you back in the building.
It is wonderful to be here. I think of this as, you have to tell me about the museum because I don't really know too much. I was here for the Titanic buttons, I can't even remember how many years ago, so can you just give me a little background about the museum and enlighten me?
Yeah. So the museum was formed in 1877 when a group of leaders of the brass industry decided that they needed to create a historical society. And it took them a while to actually have a physical structure.
They moved into this building in 1986 and then did a major renovation in 2019 and opened in 2021. It's gorgeous.
So the core of our collection today is predominantly artists from or artists who worked in the state of Connecticut, sometime between the 18th century and the 21st century.
The first two artists that fit the bill, Kay Sage and none other than Georgia O'Keeffe. Two artists that never met, but their lives sort of paralleled each other.
We love to have bold-faced names, and Kay Sage and Georgia O'Keeffe are two bold-faced names that many people have heard of before.
Kay was a surrealist artist.
But, you know, it's the 1940s, and she's a woman artist, so always thought of in a lower level than the men at that time period.
Kay eventually finds her way to Woodbury, Connecticut, where she lives out the rest of her life.
At one point, she's on the collections committee of the Mattatuck Museum, and ultimately, she determines to leave the residual of her estate.
And it's fabulous, worth the trip alone, but there's also the very well-known Georgia O'Keeffe.
This is a landscape. You can see it's clearly a landscape, but it's in her own specific, particular style. And what she's hoping that you will see is how she feels about what she's looking at, not so much what she is looking at. It's not a representational painting of a landscape. Kay, on the other hand, is a surrealist artist, and so she's showing you the inner workings of the landscape here by pulling back the curtain on this mountain and showing you what's happening inside of it. And so the parallels of these two lives of these two artists who never met each other really works well in this space. This is a really great Mattatuck Museum story because we have this vast collection of Kay Sage works, and we have been generously loaned 3 amazing paintings by Georgia O'Keeffe from the Cleveland Museum of Art for an entire year.
It's all so wonderful. We're moving on to the next exhibit you're going to love, that of photographer Gordon Parks.
Bob, what are we seeing right now? This is fascinating.
It is an amazing group of works. So these are the works of Gordon Parks, who was the first African-American photographer hired by Time Life magazine. And he was born in 1912 in Lawrence, Kansas, in a segregated town, and to a very, very large family. So at the age of 15, he had to leave home to go work, to make money and survive, really. Made his way to New York City, and in his 20s, he fell into a group of photographers who were sort of art photographers, all African-American, and he landed this gig working for Life magazine, and they sent him back to Kansas to do some photography of, like, you know, where he came from, to tell his own story, because he had immediate success. Like, the work, as you will see when you look around the room, is just amazing.
These works of art, much like everything you're going to see here at the Mattatuck Museum, are incredible.
We're one of 4 venues across the country that is showing this exhibition. And because they were hand-selected by him, these are like some of the most famous works that he's ever done, and some works that didn't actually make it into Life magazine, but are like personally important to him. So it's like a story that he's telling about his own personal life.
There's also things for the kids here at the museum.
Please touch, Scott.
I'm afraid.
No, this is the Please Touch area of the
Okay.
museum. This is where kids and families can come together if, like, somebody is not enjoying their experience out there, but they really want to stay in the museum. They come to this little area, and there's games for them to play.
And in the Munger Gallery, where we find the exhibit Arthur Nager Building Stories, more incredible photography of buildings then and now, there's more things for kids to do.
The Munger Gallery isn't just for adults, it's for kids as well. Look, they even have the scavenger hunt where the kids will look at the pictures and then try and find them on the walls.
As we close the piece, we're in the History Gallery, Bob, which is just as fascinating as everything else we've seen.
Well, we have a lot of things for everybody, but we do tell the history of the Mattatuck Plantation, which is Waterbury and all the towns that surround it going up and down the valley. In this space, utilizing all these objects and ephemera that is part of our collection. And we're standing in the family-friendly part where there's coloring for the kids and benches for the parents who may need a little rest after all.
Events coming up?
Events coming up. Well, the second Saturday of every month is Access for All, thanks to Art Bridges. So it's free, and there's usually programming that's happening here. 4 times a year, we have a special event. So our first Family Fun Day is April 12th.
Okay.
We're going to have scavenger hunts, food, and we're going to open 2 new exhibitions, the Elizabeth Catlett exhibition I mentioned before, and the Art of Leisure, which is a collection of paintings from our personal collection here at the museum that's been organized by our assistant curator.
All right, if you would like more information on the Mattatuck Museum, please visit their website. It is mattmuseum.org. You can also find them on Facebook and Instagram. And if you visit, make sure you tell them Great Day sent you. It really is a spectacular event.
Yeah, and they're, really such a great partner in the community. Sometimes in the summer and the warmer months, they're starting to have cocktails on the roof. They've done so many great things.
Spectacular.
And I mean, hey, 2 famous women that you can see right there.
100%. All right, still ahead on Great Day, Connecticut.